my God, your hair is like ever so slightly sleepaway campy.
Well, no, I've got my color coordinated flower here, Andrew.
Of course, of course. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Someone had to be yellow. Come on. I mean, it's not usually my color, but come on.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Movie
Movie
Bitches.
Bitches!
Oh my gosh. I have to cover this for the opening of the video so that we don't get flagged for advertising. Retro Review episode 48. Tonight we're reviewing Love's Labor's Lost.
Love's Labor's Lost.
I keep forgetting the title of this movie, and I don't know why.
I mean, Shakespeare's famous comedy of farcical airs and whimsy.
Yeah. First things first, shout out to our wine sponsor, Wink. Go to trywink.com/moviebitches. You get $22 off your first month of wine. Thank you. You have to do the hand motions for me until I can stop holding my tit. Second, make sure to subscribe and share. Oh, thank you. Third things third, shout out to our Patreon supporters. $5 a month and more gets you early access. $10 gets you access to our viewing parties. This one was a doozy.
Well, yeah, people are always commenting that they love that even though we're separated, our reactions are the same to things. And this one's going to be fun because it's the opposite.
I think so.
I love this movie. Unabashedly, I understand that it is not good. I understand that fact.
Okay, good.
I'm not under the misconception that this movie is or should be anything that it isn't. But do I love it? Yes, absolutely. And Andrew had a very different reaction.
I really did. In fact,
I can't
said
believe
this
it.
a couple times.
I can't believe
Avaryl.
it. It's so earnestly stupid and cheesy, and it just is. It just is what it is. It's very much there aren't deeper things happening, Andrew. It's just this. And it's delightful.
And yet there's like 5 things happening in this movie, if not 12 different movies in one. It's like crazy. So, okay. Backstory to the backstory before I tear this movie to shreds.
Shreds! Come on now!
Shreds!
Shreds!
So to continue our summer camp series, if you might have noticed,
yes.
Really, I'm really quite obsessed with this
it's
design.
It's so cute.
It's so incredibly cute. They're available at moviebitches.threadless.com. But yes, to continue our summer camp theme, I made Andrew watch another one of my favorite campy movies. This one falls into simultaneously aware and completely unaware camp, paralleled with each other in a disastrous flop that I can't help or deny that I absolutely love watching. So I'll start by saying, at the end of this movie, I had a realization and I said, did Kenneth Branagh make this movie for me and me alone? I am under the suspicion that might be true. I don't know.
No, he definitely made it for himself.
Well, I mean, the hubris. Always. I am somehow delighted by Kenneth Branagh's hubris, where other people find it obnoxious and off-putting. I find it so delightfully insane.
It's insane, and I find it hilarious. There were so many shots of just him gleefully and I was just like, this is just him adoring his own work. He's like, my directorial choices.
We'll get into it. So yes, if there was a checklist or Venn diagram of things that were catnip for Avaryl when she was 14, it's this movie. Kenneth Branagh, 1930s musicals, old standards, 40s clothes, Nathan Lane, almost OCD level, color coordinated, matching outfits. So pleasing and relaxing. You know, like how a good heist movie, we have to do these 8 things, and then they do them all, and it's so like, oh, yes, you did it. That's how I feel about the costume design in this movie. Yes!
Oh my God. That's so funny.
Literally checklist bit by bit of just every single thing I was nerdily obsessed with as a 14-year-old. The only thing that would have made it better or rather more tailored for me. I mean, maybe this would have put it over the edge if their sassy gay friend, who we'll talk about, was played by Richard E. Grant. Forget about it. I think my head might explode. It would be too much. But can't you see him in that part?
Sure.
So anyway, so that's my experience with this movie. I watched it. Couldn't tell you how many times. On the soundtrack. Was singing along during the viewing party. Charleston, with you. Knew all the words. I mean, they're all standards, sure. But like, these versions. It was deep.
Really.
My love for this movie runs deep.
Avaryl, that shocks me. Yeah. I think it's that personal attachment that you had seen it as a young girl.
I kept wanting to show you this movie because I genuinely could not figure out if I was wearing rose-colored glasses or if it was awful. I still love it, but I
both are true, actually.
Yes.
You were wearing rose-colored glasses, and it is awful.
Awful.
Yes,
it's awful. I had a shit-eating grin across my face through the entire movie, just delighted with how stupid it is, how cheesy, how Alicia Silverstone is playing the Princess of France. I'm the daughter of the King of France.
The daughter of the King of France. On serious business.
That's me, the daughter of the King of France in 1930.
Alicia Silverstone. Oh my god. At a certain point, I was just watching her reactions.
Oh,
because she does
so
much. At a certain point, she's like at a table or something, and she starts flailing her arms.
Avaunt! Perplexity! What shall we do if they return in their own shapes to war?
And I was just like, what?
From which lord to which lady?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
From which lord to which lady?
From my Lord Baron, a good master of mine, to a lady of France that he called Rossellini.
I think my face for most of this was just... At a certain point through this movie, I would bet easily $20 that Damien Chazelle has watched this movie a million times because it was giving me such La La Land vibes.
So I hear you. I see you. I thought about it. I'm not going to lie. But the difference for me is this movie was in no way well received or given kudos it didn't deserve and nominated for Oscars and didn't claim to be art on maybe Kenneth Branagh thought it was, but it wasn't claiming to be artsy and, let's give them some Oscars. So I think that's the difference for me. I also feel like somehow for me, this movie feels very earnest, even though, Kenneth Branagh is like his own category of he's separate. God. But Matthew Lillard's baby face trying to act and say Shakespeare is so delightfully terrible to me that I'm having the best time.
I am resolved. The mind shall banquet, though the body pine.
I'm loving how bad it is. I understand. It's not good, Andrew. I get it.
No, it was terrible.
I just had...
He was so bad. Alicia Silverstone doing bad Shakespeare. I was like, someone...
Hilarious. Isn't it hilarious? Oh, I had the best time.
But pardon me, I am too sudden bold. To teach a teacher ill beseemeth me.
Oh my god. I think Brian and my reaction when they just float into the air in this planetarium that, mind you, again, speaking of La La Land, same scene.
Yeah. I forgot that happened.
Please with
oh my
god. We're literally just like, oh! Ah!
Well, because I'll say this too. Again, I understand the comparison to La La Land. This entire movie is a fantasy, magically surreal. It never claimed to be, trying to make you feel have a real deep and it wasn't Emma Stone's plight of her art, her art and trying to be an actress and let's really talk about how jazz needs to be said. It was purely a Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire, Shakespeare I don't know, parody, loving send up, loving
send up.
It just loved those movies so much, and it was so just like cheesy and campy and delightfully over the top that I wasn't mad at it because it started in one place and maybe it got a little crazier, but it was never trying to be what it wasn't.
Well, right. I guess for me, I fully agree. And I appreciate the intent there. I think where I really got frustrated was with two big things. One, first and foremost, the worst thing about this movie for me was the camera work.
Oh my God, it's so...
Or lack thereof.
It's so... I think that's on purpose. I'm not trying to defend it. I think they are actively trying to be like, well, in the 1930s, they couldn't be steady camming around. Let's use old-timey cameras. Like, I think that I would not put it past Kenneth Branagh, honestly.
Sure. I read it more as like a filming of a stage play. For me, it felt like
that too.
It was like, oh, here, this is the staged version of Shakespeare's play, and now we're just going to slowly zoom in and out. Does it count as a oneer if the camera doesn't move?
Sure. I mean,
is it just a long scene? I don't know.
This movie really just tickles that part of my OCD where everything is even. I don't even have OCD that bad, but there's something, and there's three girls, and it's very Chipmunks, right? There's three girls, and they wear these colors, and there's three boys, and they wear those colors, and then we're going to show close up of him, and he likes her, and we're going to show up a close up of him, and he likes her, and close up of it, and he likes that. Actually, there's four. What am I saying? Three.
There are four.
I went to Chipmunks. So there's something like, I think, gleefully simplistic about this movie that just, it's like, oh, that was so nice.
Sure. Well, so the other thing for me, I think that hindered that feeling for me was the pacing, because I found myself getting so bored, just like, I wanted to crawl out of my skin whenever they would go into these long Shakespearean monologues, and they were so bad at it. And I was like, I don't think you know what you're saying, but okay, here we are.
It's a mixed bag with, like, because the acting levels are really disparate, right? We've got Kenneth Branagh, who you're like, yeah, I definitely fully understand what you're saying, and for me at least. And I feel like Rosaline, his girl, the blue girl,
right?
She was pretty good. Like, she kind of gets it,
yep.
And
Emily
then
Mortimer was pretty good.
She's pretty good. Clearly the worst dancer.
Yes.
They're always like,
again, some of the choreography was like, Brian called it middle school level, where it was just like ta 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 ba cha ta 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 ta. It was like really basic.
Yes.
I'm your big and brave and handsome Romeo.
But it's not getting nominated for choreography Oscars. That's, I think, where I get so mad about it, where I'm like, it is what it is, I guess.
But for me, again, the same critique of La La Land applies to this. Why not hire people that can dance? I finished this movie and then immediately put on Astaire Rogers.
I think the answer is Kenneth Branagh. He needed to be at this level because he had to be in the movie and be the wittiest, most well-written, and
twice the age of all of these other people.
That should just be the hallmark of 90s Kenneth Branagh movies. Too old for the part, but he did it anyway. It's like Hamlet at 35. Well, sure. Victor Frankenstein at 37 or whatever. Well, I'm sure we can, okay. It's so hilarious, particularly with how they set it up with the simplicity of, like, everyone's always standing in rows next to each other and, like, lined up in perfect symmetry, which I really enjoyed. And he's so old. He's so much older than everyone. And I thought at a certain point, I was like, oh, it really would have made more sense, or a little more sense, if he was the king. Because, okay, he's the king, he's, like, older. Right. Here's his kind of, student. But, like, the king isn't as good of a part, so.
Right, of course, he had to have the one. Yeah. Now, here's a question that I thought of at the end, and I had to try and figure out, and I still don't have an answer. They're at war, but the king has decided...
Which king? The king of Navarre?
Yeah, the king of Navarre, not the king of France.
Great. Just clearing it up.
They're at war, and the king has decided, I'm going to take 3 years in my castle to study and not talk to women.
This really stood out to me as well this time. I think what they kind of tried to imply with the newsreel at the beginning is that he was in service, like he was in the service, and war was looming.
Ominous clouds of war may be gathering over Europe, but here in Navarre, the young king, seen here returning from military maneuvers, has announced an audacious plan for himself and his court.
And so I think he was like, before I have to go to war, I'm going to do this massive study where you wouldn't set your eyes on a woman or her tongue be cut out. I mean, it was like so insane.
No woman shall come within a mile of my court. Had this been proclaimed
4 days ago?
Let's see the penalty on pain of losing her tongue.
It was.
And Matthew Lillard, we can get into him because he clearly has bodies in the basement. When he's just like, I mean, he's crazy, right? They're like, oh, who came up with this punishment that a woman, she comes within a mile of my court, should have her tongue cut out? That was me. He's like gleefully like, ha ha ha.
Who devised this penalty?
Mary, that did I.
Sweet Lord, and why?
Well, to write them hence with the dread penalty.
I did that one. That was me. Don't you love it?
Oh my God.
Oh wait, so we should probably explain a bit what the plot is. Okay, Love's Labor is Lost. Kenneth Branagh decided to take a not well-known Shakespeare comedy farce, comedy verse, and apply 1930s and a little bit of 40s standards to it and make it a Stair Rogers musical times 4 quadruplets. Right. And it's oh boy, there's so much going on and yet nothing happens.
But also, well, yes. Okay, here,
great.
I want to talk about that. Put a pin in that. I have thoughts.
Okay.
But the thing is, when you say, oh, he wants to turn it into a Stair Rogers musical, I didn't realize it's literally a jukebox musical.
I mean, it is a jukebox musical of old standards, of Irving Berlin, Cole Porter, Jerome Kern, all of the greats, Gershwin. They're all in there. And I was like, how much goddamn money did they spend on the music rights for this movie, by the way?
Well, in 2000, I would think that the rights for the music would be available. And they didn't use the original singers, they sang. So, like...
Oh, boy, did they sing?
I would think...
Did they sing? Most of them
sang. Oh, my God. There was a part where I was like, I'm sorry, is this supposed to be Alicia Silverstone? Because...
No, they did all sing their own parts. I mean, they might have punched it up, but that was like a thing.
I wake up every morning with a smile on my face.
So... famous old standards, it'll be a jarring tonal shifts where they're speaking in iambic pentameter and then
I'd rather Charleston. I'd rather Charleston.
Oh my God. Oh, their ties as belts. That was a really important moment in fashion for me, that they wore their ties.
Oh, the ties as belts.
As a belt. I started doing it. I still think it's a great look. I'm still a fan.
Yeah, you rock it. I've seen you rock that.
That was a seminal moment in my fashion studies, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, right. So the King of Navarre has proclaimed that he and his 3 subjects are going to study for 3 years, only eat 1 meal a day, fast, not sleep but more than 3 hours, not see a woman, not lay his eyes on a woman. Unless of necessity, They get to the bottom of that. All of these rules, and within 12 hours, that's being generous. They're all in love.
He, and you, my liege, and I are pick purses in love.
With women.
Gave it up.
Just to be clear, they're in love with women.
Right, they're not in love with each other.
That could have been, a workaround, let's say.
Yeah, I was like, aside from this eating thing, this pact would work fine for me.
Right. Well, sleeping 3 hours, I think I would.
No, that wouldn't work either.
I would go insane. But so that's the basic crux of it. The daughter of the King of France.
Tell him the daughter of the King of France.
And her ladies in wait come and they all fall in love. Hijinks ensue. That's the plot.
Yeah.
But let's get into it.
My second biggest problem was the pacing.
Yeah.
Because like you said, so much happens and nothing happens. The Kenneth Branagh-ness, affected the pacing so much.
What, his directing and...
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering because, like, I don't know if that's the Kenneth Branagh-ness so much as he took two genres that shouldn't coexist. Like, I don't know if that's his. I mean, it's his fault for, like, you know, producing and writing the script and, like, planning it. But I don't know if it was ever going to work or if there's a way for it to work. That's all I'll say.
Well, sure. However, so here's a couple interesting things that Brian and I noticed, and we created a theory in the viewing party. So, okay,
you had so much fun watching it. Look at this deep dive.
Well, I think we were so bored that we were trying to figure it out.
I was like, ooh, look at the hats, and ooh, look at those lanterns. Oh, they're coming in on boats from France. What's this about?
In this, like, moat, these, like, Orientalist boats. And
yeah,
I was
it's
just
like
what?
Phantom of the Opera, you know, like, okay,
Yes.
what's...
We noticed, like, it's a Miramax movie produced by Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
But one of the things that he's notorious for, it's 93 minutes. Brian and I think that when Kenneth Branagh delivered this film, it was maybe 2.5 hours long. And they had filmed all of the scenes that they then condensed into those little newsreel, moments.
I mean, that's a nice theory. Maybe that's the case. I think, because the voiceover for the newsreels is Kenneth Branagh, so it wasn't done under duress.
Boldest of all, perhaps, is the king's absolute insistence that no women will be allowed inside the court. Sorry, ladies, but he is the king.
Well, I mean,
it could have been. It could have been Harrison Ford's voiceover for Blade Runner. We don't know.
They don't advertise for killers in a newspaper. That was my profession. Ex-cop. Ex-Blade Runner.
They said something like, they had to cut 2/3 of Shakespeare's dialogue from the play to fit in the 10 musical numbers. And I was like, you know what? I'm not mad at it. Because honestly, I mean, as a child, when I was watching this, I was like, oh, I'm catching most of what they're saying in iambic pentameter. So smart. Look at me. I understand what's happening. Oh, I'm getting a little bored. Musical number. So I don't know. Like, it's not well-paced, but I will say that every time you're sort of losing it, musical number.
That is true. That's fair.
But Matthew Lillard, okay, so we got to break it down. I don't know. Kenneth Branagh likes to do this because, like Much Ado About Nothing, right? All of the best actors he can find for Shakespeare and Keanu Reeves.
I had rather be a canker in a hedge than a rose in his grace.
I got a lot of Keanu Reeves doing Shakespeare vibes from the cast of this.
Yeah, it was so good. Remember when he rubbed that loaf of bread like a dick? That happened.
Wait, okay. Can we talk about...
Boyer? About their Sassy Gay Friend? I want to talk about it!
I'll give you Aquitaine and all that is his, and you give him for my sake but one loving kiss.
Yes, there's a few things that we have to talk about. One, their Sassy Gay Friend. Two, the Spanish guy?
Timothy Spall was doing everything that ever existed under the sun.
A female, or for the most sweet understanding, a woman.
Ooh. There's also a lot of vaudeville in this movie.
We gotta talk about Nathan Lane.
I mean, we could talk for the rest of this episode about Nathan Lane. Why do you think I saw this movie to begin with? What? Nathan Lane's in it? Nathan Lane is in a film? I will rent it and then watch it several more times. You can't deny Nathan Lane's nailing it, right? Like, he's so good in this. He's so good.
Seen with her in the manor house, sitting with her upon the form, and taken following her into the park, which put together is in manner and form following.
He's doing it. He knows what he's doing.
In his number, when they're like dancing and everything, and he's just doing his shtick, I was like, yes, this is Nathan Lane. That's why he's Nathan Lane.
Nowhere could you get that happy feeling.
It was a lot, but that was a choice. He was the clown. I get it.
He was a vaudeville clown,
I have a letter.
Oh.
Whoa.
But yeah, Don Armando, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Every choice. Every choice. Oh, and we have to talk about the woman.
Woman.
Jaquinetta?
loved her.
She was fucking fabulous.
Yeah, she was giving me some like Tilda Swinton vibes too, and I was like, here for this.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
But then, no, the last thing we have to talk about, I mean, those are things we will get to. We will talk about it. But also, we have to talk about the part where I died laughing so hard.
At it? With it?
At the what the fuckness of it?
All of the things. Okay, great, because I was laughing fairly consistently throughout, because I was having a great time.
Well, this was a particular moment, which was my electrocuted washing machine moment.
When the sheep fell over?
Yes! What the actual fuck?
Ajax. It kills sheep.
That's what I mean about like how the whole movie is like magically surreal and absurd. Like it's that the whole time. I mean, it's to varying degrees, but it's insane from inception. Like it was always insane. It continued to be insane. It was released. It was insane. Like, so that's why I can't necessarily be mad at it.
Sure.
But that sheep,
sure.
Oh, used to kill me. That whole scene in the library with the I've Got a Crush on You, that is gold.
Oh my God.
I'll defend that scene. When he's hiding under the table with the little tree and then no one can see him. And then the other guy's just at the door, but I don't see him. I'm just going to dance around. Oh, it's so funny.
Oh my God, it was so stupid. Oh my
Hiding
God.
behind the
And then that
ladder.
Shakespeare line, oh, I'm just in the bushes. And I was like, what is actually happening?
As his, your case is such. You chided him, offending twice as much. I have been closely shrouded in this bush.
I really do get tickled pink by broad visual humor. It just really, the absurdity of him, but oh, I'm behind this little bush, and no one sees it. That was very Airplane to me. Like that was very
sure. I get, yeah. It's
Look, it doesn't work. It's a bad movie. I enjoy watching it. It's like you literally, if you watch Much Ado About Nothing, that's the perfect, most amazing version of this movie. Like the scene where Kenneth Branagh can't get that broken chair and he's eavesdropping on them in Much Ado. That's the scene done well. I cannot deny that. Yes, I laughed so incredibly hard when that sheep got vertigo and
It kills sheep.
What?
died, I think. But also it turned into a fake sheep. It just straight up turned into like a paper mache sheep, and I just love it.
By this light, but for her eye, I would not love her. Yes, for her 2 eyes.
I was dead. I was just like, what is actually going on? I'm telling you, it was my washing machine in the thunderstorm moment.
So,
I just was like,
you're welcome for the laughter then. You're welcome. So should we talk about their sassy gay friend, Boyer?
yes.
So
what are you doing?
She is waiting in her bed to be murdered by her husband. This fate could have been avoided if she had a sassy gay friend.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, why do you think it all worked out? I mean, he died, which I was bummed about.
Yeah.
But other than that, the sassy gay friend, he was right there. It was literally like, I'm your sassy gay friend. I'm going to give you advice about how not to get trapped in this, tragedy. And this one's going to be a comedy. It was great. He just shows up to be sassy. Loved it. When he has that wistful moment to himself about they're too hard for you or something like that.
You are too hard for me.
Just wistfully, yes. It was like a long pause, and then he
Oh my God, it was the longest
He walked
pause.
out of frame. So yeah, we're gradually introduced to all of these archetypal characters, my favorite of which being Nathan Lane, of course. as the clown, the great co-star. He's doing so many things.
So many things.
I mean, that's
there were
what I'll
so
say.
many choices made in this movie.
That's what I like a movie that's making choices, right? They made strong choices. They stuck to them. They released this fucking movie. There
were a lot of strong and wrong choices, but at least they were strong. Safe and boring is boring.
Yeah.
At least strong and wrong can be very fascinating to watch.
It kills sheep.
I mean, the whole movie looks like a soundstage, which on some level I enjoy. And that, I think, was a choice that they made because all the Stair Roger movies were on soundstages. So there are choices that are being made that failed and don't work, but they were there for a reason, I guess is what I'd say.
Yes. I don't hate the idea. It was just shocking to me, like, again, that at the end, I literally turned it off and went down a rabbit hole of like, okay, now I'm going to go watch a bunch of Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers numbers on YouTube because there was so much more like life in those that this didn't seem to somehow capture. There was the joy was missing.
I'll disagree with the joy. The talent, undeniable, is missing.
And again, the filmmaking, but the camera work.
The joy and the earnestness of a middle schooler who just got cast in his first, like, that's what I feel. And something about that is like a warm sweater to me. Just the glee of like, I'm dancing for the first time. Look at me, Mom, look at me. There's something I find enjoyable about that. But once again, I'll say you're welcome for sending you down that rabbit hole because I'm sure it was lovely.
Sure, it was lovely. Also, the set pieces, I mean, they spared no expense.
Honestly, though. I do want to talk about, I think the most upsetting thing in the movie, even more than the illusion that Don Armando was in a concentration camp and Jacquinetta was left alone with his baby that we're to presume they're married, but she's destitute. Even more disturbing than that.
I think I missed that.
During the news footage at the end, there's like a sad shot of Don Armando being carted onto a truck and there's like barbed wire in the foreground and he's mournfully looking on and then Jacquinetta's in the foreground with a baby and her hair is all cut off and I was like, this went dark. This was this went to a different place. But
the end really did.
Even more upsetting than that.
Uh-huh.
The sentient teddy bear that Alicia Silverstone is holding before they sing the song, before the synchronized swimming number. Did you miss this?
Did it move?
Its fucking eyeballs, which have lashes, open up when her eyes open up, and then there's like a creepy baby noise that's like that baby noise, like laughy baby noise. Oh, it was so terrifying, Andrew. So scary.
That is.
They're also
I missed that.
They're all sleeping like vampires, four squared head to head, and that whole scene. I mean, I could talk about it for an hour. It was very upsetting, and there was again strong choices. Strong choices were made. But no, the teddy bear's eyes opened when she awoke. So are they connected in some sort of spiritual way?
It's like what we do in the shadows where she has a doll of her.
Love that. Love that. Yes, that's her other being. That's her. I love that, though. I mean, they were sleeping like vampires, so yes.
I mean, she was practicing for vamps.
Oh, boy. Whoa. Right, because then, inexplicably, Alicia Silverstone sings in an English accent.
I wake up every morning with a smile on my face.
Which I found confusing.
Well, because she's the princess of France.
I am the princess of France. Oh my God, I am the princess of France. I can't even do it justice. It was so funny. I laughed so fucking hard.
I mean,
and no one's even trying for a French accent. It's just
no.
Like they might as well have just made up a fake other kingdom.
Another different country, yeah.
Because France in World War II, I mean, yikes! It's a sticky, complicated situation that they wrapped up.
It really was
In maybe 45 seconds at the end of the movie, and I was like, really glossed over a lot of that, but everything's fine.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. France, I mean, obviously, like we said, it's a fantasy, et cetera, et cetera. But then again, like you said, why have it be France? It could just be anywhere. It could be Genovia. I don't fucking care.
I think in the play it's France, and that is why.
Yes.
That would be my guess. Oh, and, then Esther Williams style synchronized swimming. I mean, that's a box in itself. That's a category to be checked off on the Avaryl checklist alone. Oh that's its own box. Synchronized swimming.
No ice skating.
No ice skating, but I feel like it's give or take. Either have the synchronized swimming, or if you have both, I mean, I'm not going to say no, but maybe it's a little too much.
I was bummed, again, with the camera work. They did this, zoom out of, oh, here's all the red and the yellow and the blue and the green, whatever, this aerial whole thing. And they were on it for, 5 seconds, and I was like, oh, why didn't we do more of this?
There was a shot when it was wide and it stayed fairly long, and it was showing, how Fred Astaire would show. They show the whole number so you could tell he was actually dancing. They alluded to that subtly. There was a few times when it was oh, that was a longer shot than needed to be, and it was a big group number. I'm okay with it.
No, I agree with that. For me, it was the Busby Berkeley-isms that didn't get done justice. I was You bothered to choreograph this. Why couldn't you film it better? What's happening? But okay.
Maybe they used old-timey cameras. Stanley Donen had them in his basement, and they said, hey. Okay, so we have to talk about
That's why
this.
he got the presented. We have to talk about that.
So the movie starts and it says, presented by Stanley Donen and Martin Scorsese. Stanley Donen obviously famously directed Singing in the Rain, Charade, a number of my favorite films, and obviously Martin Scorsese. So I was trying to figure it out because I was looking at, IMDb, this person, that person. They're not listed as producers. And so then I had to go down further into a rabbit hole. They're both listed, the greats, these Oscar-winning, top tier, listed under miscellaneous crew as presented by in the U.S. What the fuck does that mean? They were distributors for...
But why? How? I honestly have no idea.
Creative consultant? I mean, I could see Stanley Donen obviously being helpful. Martin Scorsese less so. I mean, he knows all about cinema history, but... But
why him for this?
Speaking of, to change the subject completely, I'm really nervous about Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. I think it's going to be bad.
I think it's going to be bad. I don't see how it could not be bad.
Unfortunately, I agree. I feel like there's going to be way too much random green screen and it's not going to feel gritty or real. I feel like it's not going to, Scorsese's last decade of movies just have this weird...
Spielberg's?
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Spielberg's last decade of movies just have this fake feeling that isn't a style. It just seems like a way to not have to be in the field and potentially to save money. I don't know.
I really hope that they do some sort of stylized practical sets. If cats can build giant frickin' ass sets for their nonsense, then Steven Spielberg can figure out how to film on location in New York, or I don't know, some shit.
Can you imagine a West Side Story directed by Bob Fosse? Ooh, yes.
Yes.
I would enjoy that quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I digress.
But it's funny because I was thinking about West Side Story because all of this movie reminded me of my film musicals class in college. But then also in that class, I wrote a paper comparing West Side Story and Romeo plus Juliet.
Oh, I love that for you.
Right.
By the way.
But
I mean, for myself as well. I was I was audibly sobbing by the end of Romeo plus Juliet when I saw it as a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Just 1 second later, and they had to take it in. You would have seen it, and they could have been together. So anyway.
But I feel and I haven't watched it in a very long time.
Oh, I feel
12
like
years or whatever.
Romeo plus Juliet is also strong and wrong. Let's put that out there.
Also strong and wrong, right? But I feel like it's better than this. I think that like Leonardo, like the acting in terms of like modernizing Shakespeare was better than this, than Alicia and Matthew Lillard.
I defy you, stars!
For me, Romeo plus Juliet is trying to be so emotional and overwrought and melodramatic that it may actually be funnier than this film, potentially. Maybe.
I don't
know.
I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it.
Oh, that soundtrack? Forget it.
Oh my God.
Played it out. Thought I was so cool. I listened to Radiohead, but only on the Romeo plus Juliet soundtrack. Yeah, it was that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Love Savers Lust.
I don't know if I agree with you on this one.
Oh, it seems like you don't at all. And I can't really justify telling anyone to watch it, except that I do just unabashedly and gleefully enjoy it. It feels very similar to my reaction to Down with Love, which also felt like a film that was made directly for me. Did you see that?
I did. I remember enjoying it when I saw it one time.
That's more your boxes being checked. Dorothy Rock Hudson, parody, send up, loving, tribute, etc.
But I love these. See, for me,
Well, no. So what I'm saying is the factors involved for me loving it are not just Shakespeare, old musicals, but also Kenneth Branagh's hubris, Nathan Lane.
Right.
There's like mitigating factors that are.
I mean, I did get really giddy every time that Kenneth Branagh would just.
There is something about it. It's fascinating to watch, particularly when they were all in a row and he was just, like their older adult friend. It's just unexplained.
It's like unaware yet also self-reflexive camp. You know, you're just like, he doesn't realize how campy and absurd all of this is, and yet somehow he is acknowledging all of everything that's happening. So you're.
I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Kenneth Branagh is camp. I'll agree with you on this point. The worst part of the movie, just like the most embarrassing, was the tap dancing monologue.
Have at you then, affection's men at arms.
Ooh, that one stung.
The like iambic pentameter, like
I am the king of all or whatever. Oh. It was so bad, and you could tell he spent so much time. I mean, it was a very simple tap, but you knew that to get the just right, and it was so bad.
Consider what you first did swear unto.
That was the worst part for me, where I went, this is making me sad. I'm sad about this. This makes me upset. But then, they fly into the air like they've drunk fizzy lifting drink in Willy Wonka and float about because we're in heaven and we're dancing cheek to cheek. I mean, come on. I mean,
oh my God. I'm telling you, though, this was like, if La La Land didn't get inspired by this scene, then I don't know what's happening.
Then I think that Damien Chazelle should give Kenneth Branagh his fucking Oscar for directing. He won for Best Director, and I'm still mad about it.
That's right. I will say, too, the first time that I said fuck you movie was when they did The Way You Look Tonight.
Oh,
and
really?
She's reading the letter, and you look at the letter and the lyrics of the song. Fuck you, movie.
Well, and then
come on.
The dancing in this number particularly was, I think, bad on purpose. Question mark? When they do that pose at the end with Jack Winetta, I mean, that's on purpose, right? Like, that was just.
I think so. I think so.
I mean, that's like undeniably comically bad. So I can't imagine that they thought that looked good.
Can we talk about this Blue's Clues letter that they kept tossing around?
Oh, well, of course,
it's
a Shakespeare farce. So we got to get our letters mixed up. Who's in love with who? Oh no, it was this, it was that. Oh, we didn't talk about I get a kick out of you. with Don Armando.
I get no kick in a plane.
I get no kick in a plane. And then he's like in a, it's like raspberries. He's in an old-timey plane, and he's like, that, I mean, it made me laugh. I can't deny
I get
it.
no kick from champagne or no cocaine, and then
he's like doing coke. I never noticed that as a kid, by the way. I didn't get it.
Clear to me, you obviously don't adore me.
Cocaine.
Oh my god, his accent work and the
mustache and the
that was like
sad, his sad clown face when Jacquinetta rejects him was upsetting. I was affected by his acting. I was so sad for him. This like weird baby man face with just the power of Timothy Spall, right? I mean, come on.
I mean.
So yes, all of the king's men and all of the princess of France's ladies have fallen in love with each other, and
right.
They're trading trinkets. I thought this was weird. Dumaine gives Emily Mortimer a glove.
This glove.
Yeah, I was confused by that too.
This glove. And that's also the color that corresponds with everything she's been wearing. And then they all decide to switch. I mean, it's a Shakespeare farce. But...
The colors in the Shakespeare farce weren't there, though. This was a filmmaking choice.
Yes.
That to me was just like, well, but then that ruins the farce of we mistook our lovers, because clearly they switched masks, or the yellow mask goes with the yellow girl, not with the green girl. What are we talking about?
Isn't that even more absurd?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Love this. This was like, what is it, Whoopi Goldberg in Lion King, where, Mufasa.
Mufasa.
Do it again. Mufasa. 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 It tingles me.
Even their martinis color coordinated to their. Loved it. It's very that. It's that gift.
Mufasa.
It's like, remember in Guys and Dolls how they're at the kitty cat club. No, the Kit Kat Club is cabaret, but it's like
I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't seen Guys and Dolls for probably 20 years. So, 1, it's time to rewatch it, and 2, no, I don't remember.
Agreed. Okay, well, anyway, Adelaide is doing a number at the club that she works at, which is escaping me, and there's all these chorus girls with her, and they're all wearing very slightly varying degrees of pink, and they each have satin shoes that are perfectly dyed to the varying shades of pink.
Mufasa.
Love it.
So anyway, let's get to this Eyes Wide Shut orgy, because...
Oh my god. What? Okay, yeah. This is not in Shakespeare, or is it? Not in this one.
Can't say. Haven't read the play. Don't know. They all... their sassy gay friend comes to tell them, the sweet goth, the really hot goth, that the guys are going to show up in mass and pretend like they're not them, so they're not breaking the proclamation of no women. And the girls decide they don't know that we know.
They don't know that we know they know we know.
So the girls are going to switch mass, and then they just have like a free-for-all. At some point, everyone's touching everyone, but there was a shot where one of the guys was just rubbing his own self, getting in there. Made me laugh. Everyone's like touching other people.
This was a lot. I didn't hate it. It was a choice.
So yes, so they go into, it's like almost like a fantasy sequence, because they've all changed into different outfits. The guys are wearing, sleeveless. Oh, scandalous. Ooh. And they come back, all their hair is back to normal. They're all back in the clothes they were in before. I love that they just decided to be like, oh, yeah, a bunch of guys showed up and we dance fucked them. It's weird. But now you're here.
Trim gallants, full of courtship and of state.
Which of the visors was it that you wore?
Where? When? What visors?
I do like that fuckery, right? Like, oh, well, if you guys are trying to pretend, like, we're going to call you out. Oh, It wasn't you? Well, then I guess it wasn't you.
Oh yeah, we had like a dance orgy 10 minutes ago, but like you missed out. I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, too bad you guys weren't there.
So then we get Nathan Lane's big show-stopping, there's no business like show business number. I just loved this as a kid. It was like a little treat. Like, oh, I can't go see Nathan Lane on Broadway and the producers because I live across the country, but I could watch this. Very exciting.
Sure.
I was wondering, so the King of Navarre and the Princess of France have fallen in love. Maybe a sticky, complicated political situation. Combining.
Isn't that usually how marriages work?
Well, yeah, but just combining those countries, I feel like is, well, maybe not.
I thought that was the point.
Just
that
worked
was like
out.
how it used to go.
Sure.
Like,
I guess I'm
the
thinking
Queen
of
of
it-
France would always marry and then it was like, then the Princess of France married the King of England, and then they, it was like all that shit.
You're right. I guess because it's like the 40s, I have a different skew on it.
Well, right. There was no King of France. Like, that didn't... It's nonsense, but you just have to let it go.
The king, your father,
Dead.
This was also, for me, from a plot perspective, very confusing.
Okay.
Where it's just like this whole movie or Shakespearean play is, I'm going to arbitrarily set these rules around women and, communicating, etc., and then promptly ignore them.
Oh, absolutely. They immediately throw it out the window.
Yeah. Then, right, so for 3 years I'm going to study and whatever, not talk to women at all, except now I fell in love with them, and we have to be with them immediately.
The same day that I signed the proclamation.
Crazy. Then, we're in love now. Oh no, her dad died, so we all have to take a year apart?
Well, I think that was her arbitrary rule. Like, she decided she needed. Well, and there is a thing about mourning, you have to a year and a day, which is probably more prevalent in like Shakespeare time. So I think that was probably what was going on. It was like, we're women, we have to be like widowed mourning for a period of time.
Right.
But also she had to run the country.
I would think.
Presumably.
I don't. And in the midst of war,
I was like, a lot has fallen on Alicia Silverstone, the Queen of France's plate.
Yes.
A lot of responsibilities.
A lot of things.
Yes, they all have a moment where we have to part, but in 12 months time, come back to me and we'll be in love. And I'm going to give you this task of, it's obvious that like in the play, I'm sure they each give a speech, but Kenneth Branagh wrote and directed and starred and produced in this film. So he's the only one that really gets his speech with Rosaline at the end, which is fun.
I will say that every time they kept saying the 12th month, I kept thinking the 12th night. And I was like, oh, that would be... Anyway, doesn't matter.
Say something like, on the 12th celestial sign of the month of... It was something that was odd, and I was like...
Yes.
Their stay until the 12 celestial signs have brought about the annual reckonings.
Mm-hmm.
It was vaguely witchy, and I got excited about it.
It was astrological. I don't know.
I enjoyed it. But, you can't take that away from me. And, in a moment of pure irony, having Matthew Lillard singing,
The way you sing off key.
The way you sing off key, was so delightful to me.
I was like, that was intentional, right? Right?
Did you also laugh so hard when that fake plane was flying away with I laughed so hard, it looked so stupid. And then it was like shot of her in the window, shot of the guy she likes, shot of her in the window, shot of the guy she likes. Oh, we gotta do it all.
Yep.
Ooh, satisfying.
Mufasa. Mufasa. It tingles me.
And then the skywriting. Can we talk about the skywriting? But also, I remember being like, oh, it's so emotional. They have to say goodbye, and the threat of war, and her dad is dead. What are they going to do? They have to be apart. Oh, what's happening? They're flying around. You this way, us that way. The fuck?
You that way.
we this way?
What the fuck was that, Andrew? I remember as watching it as a teenager, I just remember being like, what? Very dumb. Do you know how much?
I mean, I agree.
I mean, I would like the idea of like the cut scene. You know, there was a scene where they all got airsick and vomited on each other because of all of the. I mean, that's not a plane you write skywriting
Right.
in. It's like a full plane. It's like a luxury liner, and you're.
It was.
What's happening?
Yeah. Brian was waiting for them to get like shot down because it was like World War II. And I was like, there's skywriting and they're going to draw a heart. And then it pulled out and I was like, oh, this way.
It was like, it's like me, Tarzan, you, Jane. It's very bad. It's very bad. Just have it be a heart. That's dumb, but less dumb. Or a heart with an arrow through it.
Arrow. Absolutely.
Something, you know, because there was that arrow. He's talking about Ajax in the library.
Ajax.
That's the arrow that shot the chief? Question mark?
Oh my God, that's right.
Just so out of nowhere. A lot of things in this movie that are out of nowhere, but that one is truly the most absurd. That's where it reached like Austin Land level of like, wait, what? Wait a minute. What's happening? What are you telling me? What movie is this? What's going on?
It was so stupid.
So yes, they fly away to France. They don't take the moat this time.
They had to get there quick. Her dad's dead.
They had to race to France before it was, occupied by Germany, apparently. Because then we cut to this newsreel footage of both real war, like World War II footage, and then fake them in war footage. Now, presumably, more time has passed than the 12 celestial months that she asked them to wait for.
Sure. Right, because they showed like
Weird
D-Day and like all sorts of stuff. I was so confused. I was like, wait, this can't have all just been in the 1 year that they were waiting to see each other again? What's going on? Like, it was so bizarre. I didn't know.
I think that it was more than the celestial 12 months, is my guess. But they still loved each other, so they did it. But they are all in war.
There you go.
And there's horribly tragic things happening. Boyer dies in Rosalind's arms. Very sad. I was upset. Again, we talked about Timothy Spall going to the concentration camp, ? And Jack Quinetta being left alone. Custard is running away in the streets. You know, it was very sad. And then it's all wrapped up in a 2.5 minute montage of war. And we did it. It's V-Day.
Yeah.
And then it just ends.
I found that so confusing and also not very Shakespearean comedy-esque.
No, I think they'd given up at this point. I mean, they had to address this looming war.
Well,
I mean, I guess there must have been some allusion to a war in the play, would be my guess.
I'm sure.
And they just decided that was the closest war to the time period of the songs they were using, but
that they wanted to pick, yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
All's well that did not end well. It was like, ooh.
The accounting doesn't really add up at the end.
No.
But
well, the King of France in 1930, Avaryl.
Like Charles de Gaulle shows up. What?
But no.
So then, yes, we did it. Picture taken.
Then it like bled into color.
Right.
And I was like,
because we had to see their colors one last time. It's the only thing that's identifiable about them. There's way too many main characters. So anyway, I'm sorry, but now I know at least from like an outsider's perspective. I really couldn't tell if it was secretly great,
no,
a fun bad movie that's silly and ridiculous, or just bad. I still find it very enjoyable. At least
I would say it's a solid mixture of the latter two. It definitely is not a masterpiece. I'm sorry to tell you.
Not a masterpiece, but just sort of like a what's this? Ooh, I'm having a great time. I enjoyed this.
In between, I enjoyed this craziness.
Yeah.
And oh god, this is a horrible disaster. Not fully that.
Yeah,
It's a mixture. It's a blend.
It's a lot of things. As I mean, if you went to like the genres, it's, you know, it's like it's comedy, it's horror, it's drama, it's Shakespeare, it's everything.
It's everything. There's so much to just dissect where you're just like, what? I mean, the choices, there's so many choices that you could really just examine. And like, again, this made me think of David Schmader's commentary in Showgirls, where it's like everyone was making exactly the wrong choice at every possible moment. And it doesn't have quite the density of failure that Showgirls does,
right?
But it's pretty close.
It's pretty close, right? I mean, there's a lot to enjoy, and there's a lot wrong. A lot.
And sometimes the lot wrong is what's enjoyable. Just watching the train wreck, you know? It's like, oh boy.
I almost had an out-of-body experience of just like, this is insane. Like, I'm watching these actors try and do Shakespeare, and they're terrible, and they're also singing Cole Porter songs, and it's terrible, and I'm having the best time staring at this and just like delighting in the hubris. It's very much that.
Yes. Oh my God.
Just the blank check that they gave Kenneth Branagh.
Oh. I mean, honestly, I think they were just like, here, go. And then he came back and they were like, how do we fix this? It was like that.
Shakespeare, Kenneth Branagh, the 90s, Miramax, solid gold. You know, and then it was like, oh, but also there was those other factors. Man, I wish Richard E. Grant was in this movie.
Oh my God.
So cheers.
Oh boy.
Hopefully you at least enjoyed us discussing it, and maybe secretly enjoyed this movie.
Tell us which camp you're in, mine or Averyl's.
Are you in the tent with the synchronized swimming outside the castle tent, or are you in the Navarre castle?
No women allowed.
No women
castle
allowed
tent.
Cheers.
Cheers.